In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, respected viewers, esteemed listeners, and dear friends of Heartbeats for Allah, Assalamu alaikum. Today, as we gather in the sacred name of Allah, whose name is pure, blessed, and eternal, we remind ourselves that He is the most kind, the most merciful, and the one who lovingly embraces those who call upon Him. Every word we speak today, every lesson we share, is under the watchful care of our Creator, who guides our hearts toward truth and righteousness. Our discussion today draws from the profound verses of the Holy Quran, particularly from Surah At-Tawbah. In this surah, Allah Almighty issues a stern declaration regarding the fate of those who oppose Him and His messenger. The Quranic verse reminds us, "Do they not know that whoever opposes Allah and His messenger, who maintains enmity against them, mocks and shows blatant disrespect, will have the blazing fire of hell as his eternal abode?" This message is clear and uncompromising. It is a solemn warning to all who defy the sacred commands and show contempt for the divine message. It underscores the fact that such actions incur severe consequences in both this world and the hereafter. To understand the depth of this warning, we must examine the context and the families involved. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was not merely a messenger of divine revelation. He was also the heart of a community bound by family ties and shared spiritual heritage. His own family, the Banu Hashim, held a revered position among the early Muslims. They were known for their nobility, piety, and steadfastness in the face of persecution. The love and respect for the Prophet extended to his family, and any insult directed at them was seen as an affront to the entire faith. The importance of family in Islam is highlighted throughout history. When the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, declared that whoever harbors enmity against any of his close ones, his friends, helpers, and relatives, is considered to have declared war on him. He was emphasizing not only the sacredness of his own honor, but also that of his kin. His family members, his daughter Fatima, his cousin and son-in-law Ali, and his grandsons Hassan and Hussein, are revered as exemplars of piety and courage. Their lives and sacrifices serve as a beacon for all Muslims, and their honor must be protected at all costs. This narrative deepens when we consider historical incidents that illustrate these principles. A modern example occurred in France, a nation that prizes freedom of expression. In Paris, a teacher, invoking the banner of free speech, desecrated the image of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This act was perceived as a direct insult not only to the Prophet, but also to his family and the entire Muslim community. In response, a young Muslim student, driven by a profound sense of duty to defend the sanctity of the Prophet's honor, attacked the teacher with a knife. Although the teacher's death was tragic, it symbolized the seriousness with which the Muslim community views any act of disrespect toward their beloved Prophet and his family. The incident in Paris is set against a backdrop of tension and historical grievance. The roots of these tensions can be traced back to earlier times when the honor of the Prophet and his kin was under constant threat. One of the most notorious examples from early Islamic history involves Abu Lahab, an uncle of the Prophet who was a staunch opponent of Islam. Abu Lahab belonged to a family that, despite its noble lineage, chose the path of enmity and disbelief. He is infamously remembered for his bitter rejection of the Prophet's message and for his deliberate actions against the emerging Muslim community. When the Prophet began inviting people to the oneness of Allah at the foot of Mount Safa, Abu Lahab was among the very first to dismiss these calls. His contempt was such that he is recorded as saying, "I seek refuge in Allah from such folly. Do you mean to gather us all here to listen to you?" His derision and hostility are vividly captured in the Quran, where Allah reveals an entire surah condemning him by name. In this surah, Allah declares that the efforts and wealth of Abu Lahab will be rendered useless, and that he and his supporters will suffer a fate beyond human redemption. His wife, known for her provocative behavior and active involvement in inciting discord, too is cursed. Historical records tell us that Abu Lahab was afflicted with a repulsive illness, a curse manifested in a skin disease that caused his flesh to fester and emit a foul odor. Even his own sons, repulsed by his state, disowned him, leaving him isolated in his misery. His body was left exposed for days, decaying under the scorching heat, a living testament to the inevitable consequences of opposing the divine message. This historical narrative is not just a story of punishment, but also a reminder of the importance of protecting the honor of the Prophet and his family. The early Muslim community faced tremendous opposition, and the struggles of the Prophet's family served as a unifying force, strengthening the bonds of faith. Families among the believers, whether from the Banu Hashim or from other noble lineages, such as Banu Umayyah and Banu Makhzum, played crucial roles in establishing Islam. They shouldered the burdens of persecution, stood by the Prophet during moments of hardship, and ensured that the message of Islam was not lost. The lessons drawn from these historical events are as relevant today as they were then. In this modern era marked by rapid social changes and diverse expressions of opinion, the principles of respect and dignity remain paramount. The Paris incident, for example, highlights the tension between free expression and the sanctity of religious symbols. While freedom of speech is a cherished value in many societies, it must be balanced with the responsibility of respecting the beliefs of others. When individuals or groups display images or utter words that desecrate the honor of the Prophet or his family, they are not merely engaging in harmless provocation, they are challenging the very foundation of faith and unity. It is essential to note that the call to defend the honor of the Prophet and his kin is not an endorsement of violence for its own sake. The teachings of Islam emphasize justice, mercy, and a measured response. The Prophet himself exemplified these virtues throughout his life, urging believers to respond to provocation with dignity and restraint. The strong language found in the Quranic verses and the Hadith is meant to serve as a deterrent against continuous, deliberate desecration, and to remind believers of the high stakes involved in matters of faith and honor. The families of the Prophet and his companions, through their struggles and sacrifices, have left a lasting legacy for all Muslims. Their stories are intertwined with the broader history of Islam, a history marked by moments of immense suffering as well as miraculous triumphs. The reverence for these families is not solely rooted in their bloodlines, but also in the ideals they represent: steadfastness, sacrifice, and an unwavering commitment to truth. They remind us that faith is not a static inheritance, but a dynamic journey that requires constant vigilance, respect, and renewal. Examining the socio-cultural and historical background further, we see that the tensions surrounding the defense of the Prophet's honor are deeply embedded in the collective memory of the Muslim community. For centuries, Muslims have looked to the examples set by the families of the Prophet for guidance. Their actions during times of adversity, whether facing hostile tribes, oppressive regimes, or modern-day provocations, serve as a reminder of the resilience and unity that define the Islamic spirit. The narrative of these families teaches us the importance of holding fast to our principles, even when challenged by external forces. In addition, the emphasis on family extends to the broader community of believers. Islam teaches that the Ummah is a single family, bound together by faith and mutual responsibility. The actions of one member reflect on the entire community, and any insult to one is seen as an insult to all. This collective identity reinforces the importance of protecting the honor of the Prophet and his descendants. It also calls on every Muslim to uphold the values of respect, justice, and integrity in every aspect of life. In reflecting upon these events, from the modern tragedy in Paris to the historical narratives of Abu Lahab and other adversaries, we are urged to adopt a balanced perspective. The defense of the Prophet's honor is not about vengeance or hatred, but about preserving the dignity and sanctity of a legacy that has shaped the lives of billions. Every act of disrespect weakens the very fabric of our shared heritage and undermines the principles of justice and truth. Now, as we delve deeper into the background of the families involved, it is important to consider the socio-political context of early Arabia. The clans and tribes of that era were bound by strong kinship ties, where honor and reputation were of paramount importance. In such a society, the honor of one's family was a reflection of one's identity and standing within the community. The Prophet's family, coming from the esteemed Banu Hashim, carried not only spiritual authority, but also a legacy of moral rectitude and social responsibility. Their struggles against oppression, whether at the hands of rival tribes or from within their own society, are a testament to the power of unity and steadfast faith. Their sacrifices provided a foundation upon which Islam could grow and flourish. Furthermore, the teachings of Islam emphasize that every believer is responsible for upholding the honor of the faith. The stories of these noble families continue to inspire countless individuals around the world to stand firm in their beliefs, even in the face of adversity. The exemplary conduct of the Prophet's kin, their willingness to endure hardship, and their unyielding commitment to justice offer lessons that are both timeless and universally applicable. They remind us that true strength lies in compassion, perseverance, and the courage to defend what is right. The legacy of these families is also reflected in the cultural and intellectual heritage of the Muslim world. Their stories have been passed down through generations in poetry, literature, and art, each narrative serving as a reminder of the sacrifices made in the name of faith and honor. Their lives are celebrated not only for their spiritual contributions, but also for the values they embodied, values that continue to guide communities and inspire reform and renewal in every age. As we consider all these aspects, the historical context, the importance of family ties, the socio-political environment of early Arabia, and the modern challenges we face, it becomes clear that the defense of the Prophet's honor is a multifaceted issue. It is as much about preserving a sacred legacy as it is about maintaining social cohesion and ensuring that respect and dignity remain at the heart of our interactions. In conclusion, let us reaffirm our commitment to the values of Islam. May our hearts be filled with love and reverence for the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his noble family, and may we extend our prayers and salutations upon them. Let us strive every day to emulate the virtues they embodied: compassion, perseverance, and an unwavering dedication to truth. May we always remember that defending our faith is not an act of aggression, but a noble duty to uphold a legacy entrusted to us by our Creator. I urge you, dear listeners and readers, to stand united against all forms of disrespect and provocation, and to work together in building communities founded on respect, justice, and peace. May Allah's guidance and protection be with each one of us, and may our actions always reflect the high standards set by our beloved Prophet and his illustrious family. May the lessons of history and the legacy of our forebears inspire us to pursue truth and integrity in every sphere of life. May Allah, the ever-watchful, guide us on the path of righteousness, protect our hearts from arrogance and hate, and grant us the wisdom to cherish and defend our spiritual heritage. Amin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.